Do you want to test something and see if your hamstrings actually really fire? This never ceases to surprise people when I put them in this position. So this is a hamstring bridge, but it's done very specifically. And take time, if you have a foam roller, to be able to try this. And if you don't have a foam roller, I'm going to give another version too. But these two hamstring bridges, when people do them correctly, especially when I have new clients come in and I am teaching them exactly what to feel in their hamstrings, hips, pelvis, and their core at the same time, every single person has had the expression of, oh my God, right? So I encourage you, I'm going to give you step by step what to do to see, have I really actually ever been using my hamstrings? Because if they feel like this, when you do this exercise and you're like, oh, right, then chances are you have never really actually been using your hamstrings. So let's go, let's try. So what you're gonna need, we'll start with a foam roller, the first one, and then also to encourage a pillow for the back of your head. So if you have a pillow, you can put it down there because you want something underneath your head. You can even use a type of wedge pillow, which I also have. But for now, I'm just going to use just a pillow to put underneath the back of my head. And if you haven't watched the stacking video, I would go watch that before you try this. But let's give it a go, okay? So you are going to lay down on your back, okay? Have the pillow just underneath your head, right? So you can feel that your chin is pointing upwards towards the ceiling, okay? When we're in this position, what we want to do, okay, is we want to be able to find and feel our stack. So if I can slide my hand underneath here, there's a good chance that I am not stacked. So, and again, we don't want to just brace down, okay? We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're doing it using our breath, right? Our exhale. So you take your breath in and then, and when I do that, okay, I could feel my spine make connection with the floor, okay, with the mat. I could feel that my pelvis starts to kind of tilt up towards me. At this point, I have my feet on the foam roller and pretty much the arch of my foot is on the top of the foam roller. And I'm just pressing down, maybe a 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. The foam roller shouldn't be able to just fall away from me. I'm just keeping it towards me just gently, right? Not letting it go away. Then after I take my breath, which is step 1, I feel the connection of my spine to the mat. That's step 2. Then I feel my arch on the foam roller, the arch of my feet. That's step 3. Now I'm going to start to slowly, from underneath me, tilt my pelvis up. That's step 4. While I'm doing step 4, I have to notice that I'm keeping my spine pretty much from, let's say, my belt line up to my bra strap to the floor. So I'm not losing that. Now I'm continually tilting my pelvis. Now you should start to feel some sensation of your hamstrings, okay? And you're just gonna hold that position. Think of, from your pelvic bone, you're just gonna zip up, okay? While you're doing this, you're still taking that breath in. Exhale. Get your rib cage to still stay pointed and stacked down, right? At this point, you should be on fire if you're doing it correctly. Incorrectly is this, okay? Don't bridge up like that. No. All we're doing is teaching our pelvis to tilt back towards us. So we're teaching our pelvis to tilt back, okay? And then we're just gonna lift up ever so slightly, right? And then we should feel our hamstrings. And I would say hold for about 5 seconds. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then release, okay? And I would practice holding that just maybe 3 sets of 5, right? And getting used to feeling, right? That, oh my gosh, that's my hamstrings turned on. Then when you go to stand up, okay, when you go to stand up, think of how your pelvis just tilted. Think of how when you stood, right? When you were here, right? Our pelvis isn't tilted out this way, right? We're tilted back this way. And that starts to engage your hamstrings, right? So we're not tilted away from us, okay, in that anterior pelvic tilt, right? And we want to be able to feel that when we're standing, when we're doing a lot of our vertical or upright like lunges and squats. We want to be able to make sure that we can reposition our pelvis, right, to be able to access our hamstrings. I'm going to give you another version, okay, that's going to use just a flat box. This is a hamstring bridge version, except not on the foam roller, but this is just on a step. So this is also another way that you can do it. In this version, I'm going to use the wedge pillow. I like wedge pillows also too, instead of sometimes just under their neck, because it helps to get your rib cage into a little bit more of that posterior tilt when we're on a little bit of a wedge incline. So you're going to come into a similar position as you did before in the hamstring bridge on the foam roller. This one, okay, my feet are going to be positioned flat onto the box, right? So I'm not with my toes up like this, okay? I don't have my toes up. I have my feet pushed down, so I feel my big toe connector, little toe connector, my heel position, my heel pressure onto the box. Also too, I can feel a little bit of the inner arch of my foot right here. Okay, so I feel all of those points onto the box. I'm going to do my breath that I've learned how now. So I take my breath in, exhale. I feel my rib cage tipping and tilting down. I can feel the connection of my full spine from my tailbone, okay, up to my bra strap at least, right? That I can feel that connected to the mat. Then when I'm here and I have my side abs on, I'm just going to tilt up just a little, tuck under very so slightly. And then I'm feeling that pressure of my feet into the box, my big toe connector, little toe connector, right? And as I'm here, I'm going to just make subtle little changes underneath that I can feel now the back of my legs, right? So I'm tilting my pelvis underneath me. Again, I am not bridging up like this. Don't do that, because that's not going to really teach your hamstrings to do what it's supposed to do. And it's also not going to teach your pelvis to reposition. So if we imagine our pelvis inside of us, right, we can feel our pelvis tipping and tilting backwards, okay? So if we had a line, the incorrect line would be with our pelvis at this angle this way, right? A correct pattern would be with our pelvis tipped straight up vertically. So we're tipping our pelvis up, not away from us. Okay. So when you get into that position, you're rolling your pelvis back a little bit until you start feeling each vertebrae connect to the mat, right? Then a little heel pressure, then tipping and tilting your pelvis back. And sometimes I take a block and I'll put it between clients' inner thighs, right? Because some tendency sometimes is to let the knees fall externally. We don't want that. We want just to be neutral. So I would just say, just hold that block like a 2 out of 10. And then I can start to feel, right, that I have my hamstrings on. And then sometimes I'll say, keep everything on and have my arms go overhead. And you may notice, you may have a tremendous urge to like let go of everything. And we don't want to do that. And that is such a good lesson in internal stability, right? That we're learning to keep something stable, right? So we get into this position, my hamstrings are on, my stack is on, and now my arms are moving in the opposite direction, and I'm gonna hold, and I feel my heels, right, pressing into the box on like a level 4 out of 10, my big toe connector, my whole foot, right? And when I'm here, then I can feel everything on plus my core, okay? So I would take that exercise and I would have people hold it for a series of breaths. So I would say breathe in for 1, exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then breathe in again for 1, exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. And I would say try to do that for 4 breaths worth, right? So the inhale and the exhale is considered 1 rep, right? We're gonna do it for 4 reps worth or 4 breaths worth, right? And be able to hold that and practice the one that's straight with your arms overhead, and notice how hard it is to keep your stack on while your arms are moving overhead. That is not easy, right? But then we wonder, why is it so hard for my shoulders to, right, positionally move correctly? Or, you know, those things are so important. Like I have said in other videos, movement is not simple and intuitive. It is much harder than what we see on social media. And I can scream this to the mountaintops, right? It is not that intuitive. And the intuitive people who have it, they become the Michael Phelps of the world. They become the Serena Williams of the world, right? And even then, they need help, and they have professionals that help them with movement. So this is not that you are not good at it, right? It is just simply that you haven't been taught to pay attention to these very subtle nuances that are so important, that's going to enable you to be able to train for a long time. So this was another version of your hamstring bridge. So we have one on the foam roller, or this one on the bridge or a block, okay, if you have something like this at home, okay, and then you can even progress that with the one with your arms overhead. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this helps you to find your hamstrings and notice what you're feeling. I would love to hear your comments below. And if you have any questions, or if you're like you didn't understand something, please write it in the comment below and I can address that in another video, because this is hard, right? It's not impossible. You can learn it, right? But it is a lot of variables, and people always say all the time to me, they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much to think about. And I was like, yes. I said, that's why my studio, my in-person studio, is named Think Holistic Fitness, right? Because we have to think, and we have to think about everything, our whole body, right? So it doesn't just happen, right? We have to teach ourselves. So hope this works for you. I would love to hear how it worked for you in the comments below. Take care. Bye.